Pastor Greg here again, and I'd like to bring up the second video on doing a church outside the walls of a church building. And the person that I would like to talk about today is Jesus and how he took care of his 12 disciples and then 72. And we don't really have any specific instructions about how this worked, but we do have the ability just to read through the four Gospels and to see what he did with those guys. And I think there are several things, probably 5 of them, maybe 6. I'm going to try to make this video short. The first one is that he simply called them to something radical. And I think that if we as churches tell our people, well, you have to meet in your homes, it's not going to be as good, just put up with it till we get done with this coronavirus thing, then I think we're making a big mistake, because right now in the church, if people will take the responsibility of being the church leader, of being the worship leader, of being the teacher, everybody has a part to play. And when you come together in your home, whether it's just a couple of you, maybe a next door neighbor that you're comfortable with, or just your family, if you will be that person, and I mean that for everybody, if everybody has the attitude of, I'm going to be that person that does something radical, that maybe challenges the rest of the group, that encourages them, that spurs them on to do something different, then you're off to a good start. And it takes one person as the leader to make that call. And so, to you pastors, if you're watching this and you have your people meeting in their homes, no matter how you're doing it, I'm okay with any of it, but make the call radical. Don't make it just an easy, well, we'll just get through this kind of thing, but make this a time period when people have the ability to push themselves and to grow. The second thing that I see when I look at Jesus with the disciples is simply that there was a lot of fellowship involved. And fellowship is a word that we use way too casually. I mean, we talk about playing softball and it's fellowship, and I guess it is, but the reality of it is that it means spending life together, doing things together as a group, being involved together. And I think that is a powerful tool in this time of social isolation. There are always a few people that you're going to be with. I don't know of anybody that's completely isolating themselves, just one person at home. For instance, myself, it's my wife, myself, my 2 granddaughters, and we've got a little grandbaby. And then my 2 next door neighbors, and they come down on Sundays, and we get together to have a church meeting. I think that's one of the big ones, is make sure that there is together time. One of the best ways to do that is eat together. I mean, people have a good time around food, and I think Jesus probably did with his disciples. We don't have a lot of examples of it, except that he complained that when John came not eating and not drinking, they told him he was a stick in the mud. And when Jesus came both eating and drinking, they called him a glutton. And so, I think just from that, the idea that Jesus had a lot of fun with his disciples is probably a true thing. The second thing that I think you're going to get is you've got to deal somehow with the apostles' teaching. Now, for Jesus, it was his teaching, but it seemed like it was every time there was an opportune moment, there was teaching going on. And for us, we've found that sometimes late in the evenings after the baby is in bed, the 2 granddaughters will come in, and I'll be working on a computer or something, and they'll sit down and say, can we have a Bible study? And for me, I feel incredibly blessed because that happens, and you may have to be the one that says, hey guys, let's get together and let's read through the book of John or the book of Mark and talk about what we're seeing there. But something simple that's out of the normal Sunday routine. Most of us have a lot of time on our hands, and so this is a great time to deal with that. Along with the fellowship and the eating together, I think when Jesus met with the disciples at the Last Supper, I think that was a key thing that he did with his guys. And so I think we have the opportunity realistically to turn every meal into a Lord's Supper. Now, because we have transitioned it from about 200 AD to now, with it only being the cup and the bread, then it seems a little bit funny. And I'm not suggesting that you should take out a glass of grape juice and some bread. What I'm suggesting is that anytime you eat a meal, you can go around the table and just say, hey, say something that you appreciate about Jesus. And begin the meal that way, and at the end of the meal, take whatever you're drinking and just toast him to you, Jesus. We love you, Jesus. A very powerful thing if you've got non-Christians in your family. At every meal, they can be hearing what people believe about Jesus. So I would take that and I would use it that way. The last thing that I think you really need to deal with in your home meetings is prayer. And you see that with Jesus a lot. He alone was going up into the mountains to pray because his ministry was so stressful. And we are living in a very stressful time. My wife woke up this morning with a potassium in her eye, and a lot of that just comes from stress. their stress of being cooped up and with the same people and not able to go and not able to do things. I was going to go to the bank and put some money in our account last night, and as I took off out of my driveway, I realized, oh man, it's out of 8 o'clock. It's after 8, and we've got an 8 o'clock curfew. So I just turned the thing around and we waited till this morning and hoped we weren't dealing with something that bounced or whatever. But prayer by itself is a good thing. Prayer with each other, and listen, prayer for each other. Right now, there are so many things we can be praying about. You can pray for our president and vice president, the team that's around him. You can pray for Congress. You can pray for the Senate. We've got state politicians that are very, very influential and important in this time of COVID-19. And so pray that they have wisdom. You can pray for your house that God will seal it and secure it. I've been praying that God will even purify it and filter the air that comes in. And so, I think there are a lot of things you can do, but I think those 5 things specifically, and I'm going to just run through them real quick here at the end. One is have a radical call. Let the people know that you're meeting with that this is a time for you to grow, not a time for you to hang in there. It's a time for them to take responsibility and jump in and be a part of the body, for them to bring a scripture or bring a song or a word or a dream that they had, and share it with the body to encourage the body and spur it on. And then there's fellowship, real hanging out time together. Play board games, do a Bible study, do something, but it needs to be deeper than just sharing a house together. It's so easy right now to take out your phone, stick in your earbuds, and everybody has their own phone going. Shut them down. Do something together. Pay attention to what Jesus taught. Maybe go through Matthew 5, 6, and 7 and just talk about those things. Break bread together. Make it the Lord's Supper. Any meal can be the Lord's Supper if you begin it with Jesus and you end it with Jesus. Everything in between becomes spiritualized. And then, the last thing of all is prayer. Pray. We're in a good time for that. And hey, I am way longer than I wanted to be, so I'm going to let you go. Next video, we're going to take a look at that first church as it started. And what I think you're going to find is that there are a lot of similarities to what I just talked about as far as how Jesus did things with his 12 guys too. And so I think we're going to see a pattern begin to emerge. All right, so I'll see you next video. Subscribe, hit the notifications bell. We're still trying to get to 1,000 people so we can do this live instead of always having to upload on our slow internet. So anyway, love you all. Take care.